Welcome back to the Palm Court Podcast. We are delighted to be doing our second annual Oscars show. Welcome back, Megan and Grant, as always.
Hi.
Hi.
Great to have you guys. By the way, I'm Mike Palmer, in case you forgot. Harrison Bender, this is your second appearance on the Palm Court Podcast. Both have been for our Oscars show. Welcome back. How does it feel?
Yeah, feels great. Feels great. I'm glad to be here.
And you have some film bona fides, as does our next guest, so you'll help carry us through the conversation. Kim McShane is joining us. Kim, your first appearance. Welcome to the Palm Court Podcast.
Hi, Mike. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. And I know both you and Harrison have worked in film-related capacities in your lifetimes. Maybe we could catch up quickly on that. You know, Kim, I don't think you've ever been on the pod, so folks who don't know you should probably be introduced however you think makes sense. Since it's Oscar themed, maybe some of your cinematic bona fides might be useful, but whatever, spin us a yarn. However you want to introduce yourself to the audience.
Thanks so much. My name's Kim McShane. I'm a new college class of 88, if you count it the new college way.
Legendary. I always refer to 88 as legendary, Kim, because I am a member of the same lineage as you.
Legendary 88. It was also a great time for film, independent cinema, particularly. I grew up watching movies mostly with my dad, and I'm old enough to have, I think for the generations, the breakdown seems to be, were you old enough to see Star Wars in the theater?
Yeah, as a kid,
old
right?
enough to remember the first wave of Star Wars. I was around 7 or 8. I had a Darth Vader birthday cake one year for my mom, actually.
That's edgy.
I was very, I was already self-identifying as Sith, I guess, early on, before we knew what that was.
Yeah.
And I had to make I grew up in Palm Beach County. I had to make a special deal with my folks so that I could ride my bike across North Lake Boulevard to go to the Twin City Mall, to the Twin City Cinema. Which I felt like the new pornographers stole my album title, but okay, whenever. Twin Cinemas. And I mean, I basically used to take myself with my babysitting money and go see every movie. They only had 2 screens, so every played. Grant and I were pals in high school, so we used to go to the Carefree Theater.
Was it aptly named? Was it, in fact, insouciant?
Insouciant and bizarre, yes, all those things. So they used to do midnight screenings of Rocky Horror and heavy metal.
Oh, yeah.
And we also, we're close enough to the Dazed and Confused era that we still used to go to the planetarium to see the Floyd versus Zeppelin.
Oh, yeah. Laser light shows?
Yeah, sure, totally.
Right.
And the drive-in, I definitely, even in Wichita, Kansas, I used to go back and visit my friends, and we'd go to the drive-in, and I went a quadruple feature of, I think it was Meatballs, Peas, Revenge of the Nerds, and Stripes. Diminishing returns there, but sounds good.
Come on. Don't put on Stripes. I'm sorry.
I've lived in Tallahassee and worked with the FSU Film School on a bunch of...
Yeah.
I actually worked with many graduates of the FSU Film School when it used to be across the street from New College.
Right. And you're bearing the lead a little bit, Kim, in that you've been on TV talking about film, right? I mean, that's kind of legit.
Yes, I have. A couple times. I was once on Jeopardy, and that was ill-fated and hilarious. I actually was in the studio audience watching a guy play my game the day before me in the taping order, which included movie quotes and hero.
And if you have any footage, we might be able to drop some of this in as B-roll as we're talking, because that'd be pretty entertaining.
And then later in 2014, I was lucky enough to audition for the 20th anniversary of Turner Classic Movies, the cable channel. And they had a contest. I literally made a video introducing a film. I introduced Funny Face just because it was colorful, and I sort of recreated Paris, the Paris of Richard Avedon photo shoots.
Sure.
Tallahassee. It was really funny. And I got picked to introduce film along with they had 20 other guest programmers, and some of them were fairly well known. They were like the film critic for
Yeah.
Entertainment Weekly and Officer Bird
Yeah.
from the People's Court, he and Judge Judy were big fans of classic cinema.
Now, Officer Bird, that's not Rusty the Bailiff, right? Or is that Rusty the Bailiff?
His name is Bird is
Yeah.
the actual
Okay.
actor's name, but he is also actually a correctional officer. He's doing double duty. So it's
Wow.
I got to meet some amazing people. Steve Hayes, who does a YouTube channel called Tired Old Queen at the Movies, sung to the theme of Let's Go Out to the Lobby.
Wow. Kim, your bona fides are getting pretty
Anyways,
which is saying something. Like
I
you
got to
have,
sit in the big red chairs across from
yes.
Robert Osborne and introduce the Philadelphia story for the
Oh,
classic movie.
Academy Award winner.
Yeah. It was really a thrill. It was wonderful. Robert Osborne was such a wonderful guy. And, he told incredible stories. I didn't even care about the taping because I could have sat backstage with him
Yeah.
in the commissary. He
Yeah.
was telling stories about his life in New York City. And he used to go to Liza Minnelli's apartment, and there would be like people playing piano and singing show tunes. And
Yeah.
Flip Haviland was there. She was
Right. And we're trying to convoke that spirit for this episode. So it's as if
there you
we're
go. It's like we're at a cocktail party, just having a wonderful
we're
time.
hanging out with Liza, chatting it up about the 2025 awards season, which we're in the middle of. And as if Kim weren't enough, we have Harrison, who's back again. And Harrison, you're a bit of I used the word cineast the other day. I like to bust out the words occasionally because we went to New College and we have to act like there was a hurdle to clear or something. Yeah. But Harrison, you're actually working in film, correct?
Yeah, I am. So I've actually been working in film for most of the entirety of my adult life. And my work is primarily in distribution and marketing. And I've also done a lot of work at festivals. So I worked at places like Snag Films, which was a documentary focused AVOD platform that was a precursor to Hulu that didn't quite make it over the line just because it was a weird, hectic time, right?
Yeah.
And then I also worked at a variety of festivals in New York City. I worked at Doc NYC and just did some marketing and programming consulting, sort of here and there.
Yeah.
I was also the director of programming at the Sarasota Film Festival somewhat recently,
Ooh, I think we're familiar with that one. Yeah.
2018, about 3 or 4 years or so. And now I work for a company called Eventive, and we actually do ticketing and provide a virtual platform for filmmakers. So we do ticketing for Sundance, CPH Docs, Sheffield Doc Fest, other cinemas. We have a self-distribution platform for filmmakers. So we're kind of at the vanguard in this like really weird spot. Not to go too inside baseball, but I don't know if you've heard, but cinema is dead or dying, right? And that's been said for the last like 60 years.
That in books. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that has been the new phase of that, right? Is sort of something that we and I are sort of thinking about, like what in the age of TikTok and immediate gratification do you capture attention and really, sort of like leverage art for artists while minimizing the kind of selling out that you kind of have to do.
You're
And
talking to a bunch of Gen Xers. We know about selling out.
yeah,
And also about
selling out anymore.
and not selling out too. We know both sides of that conversation. And then also you were running the film series while you were at New College. I remember we talked about that last year when we had Tom Ronca and Suzanne Clayton on with us. But it's a reminder of, both how that history is an interesting one. And that's kind of what we do on the show is tell stories about New College. I remember we went deep on the TA and we might have mentioned Ivan Stang. We definitely talked about Ivan Stang in the TA. CA has its own sort of special energy. It reminded me a little bit of the bridge on the Enterprise, just with the chairs and like the tiered seating there. But yeah, Tom would love to be here, but he's moving to Ecuador. So we'll try to get Tom back on again soon. And we're trying to line up Steve Rosenbluth, who has won an Oscar. So like there is a lot of film history and there's more. I mean, also another friend of the show, one of our favorite episodes from last year was having Jonathan White on to tell the story of the Lorax. And then he's been featured in Separated, the
Harold Moore.
Errol Morris, yeah. Did that get nominated? We're going to get into the nominations too. So I would say for those, listening, if you're not driving, you're not doing anything that requires extra attention, feel free to go to your Oscar site of choice to look at nominees. We'll be doing the same throughout the conversation, but I don't know if Separated got nominated. We'll talk about that when we talk about the documentary stuff. But anyway, Harrison, welcome back and thanks for your service. And while we're talking with our new friends, there are our OG podcasters here on the Palm Court podcast. Any recollections, anything, Megan, you always put me to shame with your regular attendance of like repertory film in Madrid. So you're like doing the work. How about you? And you're kind of following the Oscars a little bit. We try to keep up with Suzanne, who's like our resident seer of the future. How about you? What's cooking over there?
So, well, this year I kind of immersed myself. We have a couple of really amazing institutions here. One, which is the Filmoteca, which is kind of like our AFI.
I've heard it's kind of like the Teatro circa 1991 of Madrid.
A little Spanish architecture kind of thing going
Okay.
with Teatro, yeah.
Oh, well pronounced, by the way.
Yeah.
And then we have another, the Cineteca, which is where they show a lot of documentaries and things. So this year I went full in. They had a Douglas Sirk festival over 3 months, and I saw 25 Douglas Sirk movies, which was incredible.
And you're attending a lot of these with your 20-something-year-old son, right?
Yes, got him completely hooked on Douglas Sirk. I know a lot of people know his films, with Rock Hudson, and I think one of my favorites that was one of the lesser mentioned ones is Tarnished Angels, which is with Rock Hudson, and it's based on a Faulkner story. And I just really recommend that people check that out. And all of his films, every single film we saw, except for the one where Rock Hudson plays a Native American, that one was terrible. But
Oh dear.
Cochise, or it has some interesting sort of anthropological stuff in it, but it's not worth watching. But the rest were incredible. And then I morphed into Ozu, the Japanese director. I saw about 20 of his films.
And you've also talked about, while you were at New College, Jeff Hickson was like an influence and got you and many of us into French New Wave.
I had a Godard Truffaut class. It was just probably the best class I had at New College. And then I met, well, I didn't meet, but Christian and I got together watching the Eric Romer movies.
Christian Perez, friend and spouse of the show. Yes.
Which at the time, there are these sort of very French conversational, a little bit like a Richard Linklater kind of vibe to them, conversations. And we were bored stiff by them. They were too grown up for us. And so we all sat around chatting. We also, The Green Ray, which is my favorite Romer.
I remember La Haine, right? Like The Hate.
Yeah.
That came out in the 90s or so. And I think it's like a 20th anniversary just happened. They might have released it. But look, our natural collective intelligence, like we would do at least okay in a film night trivia contest, I suspect.
I have trivia here too.
Oh,
Oh,
please
God, no.
share. It's like a potluck of trivia. Yes, please bring.
Which Oscar winner won after his death?
It's got to be Heath Ledger, right?
No. Actors have received posthumous Oscar nominations, but in one bizarre case, a screenwriter who had been dead for nearly 40 years received an Academy Award nomination for a film released long after his death.
Huh.
Anyone?
I'll guess Billy Wilder.
I don't know the name, but it wasn't Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, was it?
No.
Sullivan's Travels? Okay.
No.
All right, we're going to edit it all out unless someone
Okay.
gets it right, so don't worry about it.
Should I tell you guys?
Let's say Dalton Trumbo just for fun.
That's who it is.
For what?
I'm writing it down.
It was for Roman Holiday. He
There you go.
He was blacklisted by McCarthy. Wasn't able to. They actually credited the movie to someone else. Yes.
Roman Holiday. Was that what you referred to earlier, Kim? No.
Funny Face was the
Anything.
Yeah.
Yes. The same neighborhood.
Audrey Hepburn vibes,
Exactly. If we can convoke the spirit of Audrey Hepburn, we should, I would think, generally.
I saw Audrey Hepburn at the French Film Festival in Sarasota. She was
Oh, yeah?
always, yeah,
Wow. I bet she looked dignified.
she did. She looked way too
Nice,
dignified.
nice regal air about her. We're going to hear from her. Don't mean a postcard. All right. Nominees. Okay. And I don't know if these are displayed in the order that they're going to be displayed in the order that they're going to be announced. Looks like maybe, because they're starting with actor in a leading role.
There's some
Which
controversy this year with the
Oh yeah.
Oscars controversy? Really?
It ain't so.
We're scanning the list here. I'm gonna accept cookies because
Go
that's
do
how
it.
that's how I roll. It's a party.
Wow.
Yeah, if it's a party, you should accept cookies,
With
right? I
cookies.
mean,
Mm.
come on. Oh, and you can select the category. So we are going to Oscars.org 2025. Oh, they're a .org. That's kind of hilarious. I didn't realize that, but that does make, I guess,
They're
make
an
sense.
academy. Come on.
Yeah, I'm sorry. What was I thinking? Clearly a nonprofit. Don't forget to give, people.
We
Don't forget.
we shouldn't let the fact that we haven't seen a movie keep us from having strong opinions, right?
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yes. And also the Academy, didn't they open a big, there was controversy around the Academy like museum in LA. Too bad Tom's not on because he probably has been.
Lives right around the corner.
But anyway, so if you're following along at home, we're just kind of browsing nominees. We're going to try to get this out Friday. We're recording this on Wednesday. So we're trying to get this out getting into Oscar weekend so you can play along with us. And we'll probably have like an Oscar pool somewhere. Maybe we could share the link in the show notes so if folks want to put their nominations in. So be advised. I remember this from Suzanne last year. You can also, as a guest, you can throw red herrings and ruses into your prognostication to kind of shake people off your trail. Like if you want to get 100%, you don't want to give it all away, or do you? I don't know. That's why we play the game. But actors in a leading role, have folks just show of hands, like how much are you clued into Oscar film this year? Maybe like all the way up if it's a lot and pretty low if it's not. Yeah, I'm not. Okay,
Yeah,
Kim.
I
Morgan?
haven't seen any of the best actor ones.
And Harrison, I mean, you're kind of in the industry. Are you so in the industry that you haven't seen things, or are you pretty on top of what's going on?
Definitely. So, like, being a programmer means that you don't see any movies that are not part of the work that you're doing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And then I often will just miss, films just because they're not, like released in my area.
Yeah.
And I try to see stuff, like projected as much as possible.
Right.
But it's like oddly enough, I'm kind of curious about for everyone here with all the, the hubbub, controversy aside about Emilia Perez. I'm really curious, like if that movie played in theaters near you, because I don't recall it playing near me, even in like an AMC or Regal.
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn, so everything plays
Yeah,
around here. Yeah.
Definitely played here, but people hated it.
You're in Madrid,
Yeah.
like everything, including Douglas Sirk films play, right?
I think it was down here, South Florida. It was down here, I think.
Mm.
It was.
I can't swear to it, but I think like Miami, I think we would have had to drive a couple counties.
It took a really long time to come to Tallahassee, but it did play, but very briefly. And I'm not sure, sometimes in Tallahassee, I think things play, but maybe not all the way through. Like maybe
Right.
the first 10 to 15 minutes, and then they're like, nah, whatever,
Mhm. And we're talking about Carla Sofia Gascon, nominated for
Mhm.
Emilia Perez, correct?
Yes.
Mhm.
I think
It's-
it's also in the
you know-
best picture.
Very controversial movie in the
I
Spanish world because of how bad the accents and the dialogue are, and it just doesn't come across well.
Yeah,
Best-
every
best
single new
picture
thing
here
that I
is-
learned about that movie has been like makes me want to see it less and less.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I do have some hot news that Suzanne's mom liked it. I heard.
Right. So here are the best picture nominees. There's so many of them now too. Like there used to be fewer, right? And then more of the studios wanted to get at least the nominated on the film to kind of help with its whatever.
So it used to be, in the old days, it used to be a lot. And then for a long time, most of our lifetimes, it was 5.
Yes.
Then they opened it back up after The Dark Knight didn't get nominated because everybody felt like, why are all the nominees a bunch of movies that nobody's ever heard of before? And all this artsy fartsy crap. So they were like, we need some populism, or we need some mainstream blockbuster.
Little vox
stuff in there.
populi. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that's actually helped the category.
Right.
There's still all kinds of category fraud.
Right. It makes me wonder how many people have actually seen all of these films, because that's a lot. That's
I've
like a
seen 3.
commitment. 3?
I've seen more than half, but just barely. And I have not I have to confess, did any of us see Emilia Perez? Because I listened to,
haven't.
I follow a bunch of movie, critics and podcasts and things. And from what I heard, I was like, yeah, I don't need to see that unless somebody
For the dollar movie.
magically pops up right in front of me. Yeah, I'm not
Right.
checking it out.
Yeah.
That came up in discussions in House File Horrors. Okay, we got an evening. Let's go to a movie. What do you want to see?
Right.
Well, I've heard not that one.
Right.
That came up.
But apparently and I know we're kind of skipping categories around a little bit,
It's free flowing, Kim.
but Zoe Saldana is pretty
Nice.
much, well, until very recently was a lock for Best Supporting Actress.
Mm.
And she still has, it may get its nod that way, but that might be the only way.
Right.
Because the Best Actress part, yeah, that's a no-go now.
I don't know. I think it's going to be Isabella Rossellini.
There you go. See, I know for a long time, everybody was just like, oh, Zoe Saldana is the one. But now I do think I can say out of the actress in a supporting role nominees, I think Monica Barbaro was phenomenal. She played Joan Baez.
In the Dylan flick, yeah.
Dylan picture. And apparently the word on the street is she literally did not know how to sing
Mm.
at all. Although I don't know if I believe an actress who says she doesn't know how to sing. Like, what is that?
Right.
Never sung in the shower? You don't know how to, what do you mean?
Sounds like she might be sandbagging for a supporting actor.
But
Oscar.
she was phenomenal. I mean,
She was no Felicity Jones in The Brutalist who just jumped off the screen. I haven't seen it. I was just
I thought, yeah, Felicity Jones, I thought was hopelessly miscast in The Brutalist, like she is in a lot of wife parts that keep getting nominated for
Right.
Academy awards. She keeps showing up, and I'm like, I don't care what wig you put her in. I don't care how demure and lovely she is, or how quiet and tiresome, or
Right.
how it's like whatever man she's up against playing a great man of history. You're just like, yeah, I don't know, Felicity Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing.
And her name
don't
is Felicity
believe you.
Jones too. It's almost too on the nose.
She's no Isabella Rossellini.
Claws are out. The claws are out early, people. We're not fooling around here.
No, and Ariana Grande, I'm actually, I was not a big stan for her. She's a little young for our generation. I think
Yeah.
she's a Disney girl, right? Like when
Mm.
she was a Mouseketeer back in the rebooting of Mouseketeers. I have to say, I thought she was charming in Wicked. I didn't.
Yeah.
She could be so funny. I thought she was just a pretty girl with a nice voice. And
Yeah.
turns out she was sort of a hoot.
There's a
And
lot of minutes to hold up in Wicked from what I can tell. Like it's long, so like
musical numbers, though.
That's true.
was cumbersome.
How are the flying monkeys? Were
They're good.
Appropriately scary.
yeah.
Yes.
Andy Serkis was involved in some way.
Also pathos. There's a lot of pathos with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I get, there's a full undercurrent of animal cruelty and whatnot,
right.
but also human cruelty. I don't know where the cruelty.
It seems like the script is something you could easily ask an LLM, like, write me an Oscar-winning screenplay based on, like, you fill in some of the variables and you're like, okay, now write the rest of the screenplay.
Well, I guess this was, obviously the Baum novel turns into Wizard of Oz, which turned into this the movie version. Then the book, there was a novel of Wicked that then turned into the Broadway show.
Right.
Now we're looking at the musical version.
It's like an adapted screenplay. Is that what it would be called? Maybe.
Yeah. Triple adapted.
It's triple adapted because this is an adaptation, a movie adaptation of a Broadway show adapted, a novel adapted from a movie adapted from a children's story book.
Wow. All right.
So it's the original American IP.
Oscar winner, the original Wizard of Oz? Yes, no?
No.
Oh.
Nominee.
Yeah. And Judy probably nominated, didn't win.
I don't
We'll
think
get our
so.
crack research staff working
It was
on this.
kind of like the Ariana Grande of her time.
I don't think so because let's see, that would have been
1939.
well, the movie came out in 39, but so these are
So it's still pre-war for the U.S. So like they probably still the show had to go on, I would think.
Yeah.
Well, and there was one year when there was not. This is the little Oscar trivia.
Got some trivia.
where there was not an Oscar ceremony.
Bob Hope was probably holding it down. Well, maybe it was pre-Bob Hope.
There are pictures. It was at the Coconut Grove. It was honoring movies. I mean, this is, of course, the big year for Gone with the Wind.
Right.
Daniel wins the Best
Right.
Actor
Right.
nomination, or wins.
Right.
She win. And so that was a big deal.
Yeah. Not a dry eye in the house. Those
Basically,
acceptance speeches.
Yeah. And basically, it was a sweep for Gone with the Wind, which.
So it was Coconut Grove. Was it in Miami then?
No,
The Coconut Grove, like the club.
the club in Hollywood.
Nice.
Apparently she had 2 nominations in 39, one for Wizard of Oz and one for Babes in Arms.
That was a working actor.
Yes. And I believe Judy Garland won a special award for like a young, it was like a young person's award.
Academy Juvenile Award is she
The
said
juvenile,
honoring
right.
the performance here.
I believe is an award that was also given once to Shirley Temple. And
How old was Judy Garland when she was in Wizard of Oz?
16, I
Oh, okay.
believe happened, yeah, she's.
I'm more impressed now that I realize, because like nowadays, she would be 24. She would be Ariana Grande.
He was young, obviously they sort of aged up the character. It's sort of indeterminate how old Dorothy is in
Yeah.
the movie version, but
Right.
in the book, she's supposed to be like 10, 11.
Ah.
In the movie, I think she's supposed to be like 12 or 13-ish, but
Yeah, but Judy was clearly
16.
mature. Yeah, a mature 16 too. Yeah.
But she already had that voice,
Mm.
you can go back. She sings an incredible song when she was 12, out of vaudeville. She kind of got her start in Hollywood singing a song called Dear Clark Gable.
Mm.
And she was 12 when she sang it. And when you
Wow.
listen to it now, you're like, okay, she sounds like she's 42.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because it was also the subtext, like "Baby, it's cold outside." When
Yeah.
you think back, like the subtext was right near the text.
So, I mean,
Not that much through.
there's a grand tradition of girls having crushes on,
Yes.
by movie star. That's not news.
Yeah.
Think-
Right.
I don't think anybody's shocked if 12-year-old girls have crushes
Right.
on 20-year-old pop stars. Nobody goes crazy. That's fine.
Fair
You know,
point.
Everybody lighten up. It's cool.
Yeah, come on, it's 2025. People, Popcorn podcast, Oscar edition. So, best picture. Let's just freestyle. What's going to happen in the best picture category?
I haven't seen Anora yet, and I have a feeling that it presses the right buttons, but I don't really know. I haven't seen it.
Right. Because there are betting markets on this stuff. You can actually kind of go and see. Because like Wicked is like 2 on the nose. Dune is part 2, and it's Dune. What about Conclave? Little thoughts and prayers for Big Papa, in the Vatican right now. But like Conclave does, what's his name? Benedict, right? No, Benedict was the bad one. This is better. What's his name again?
Francis.
Francis. As far as popes go, raised Catholic, lapsed Catholic.
Yeah.
Francis, pretty likable. He doesn't screw up as much as most popes do.
He
It makes
washes some feet.
Yeah, but double pneumonia, and he's in, and then
Oh
Conclave.
yeah, that could.
I mean, is the Vatican involved? Are they pulling some strings?
The voting is long over, though.
And do you think the votes really count? Come on, it's 2025. If Francis and the Vatican wants this Oscar,
Are you trying to get us shut down, Mike?
When they vote for a pope, at least they have to give us the smoke signals.
oh right,
Yeah.
wow, what is that?
Smoke versus the white smoke. But
Yeah.
in Hollywood, we never get to see the vote tallies. I would love to see some ballots.
What
I
do
would
we-
love to know who are the runner-ups.
Imagine, if you will, though, Conan O'Brien is hosting Sunday night, and there are already smoke coming out of the College of Cardinals. I mean, that'd be interesting.
I mean, Conclave did just win Best Picture at the SAG Awards. right?
SAG, right?
Yeah.
And SAG's like not a joke, right? They actually have a you have to have a red carpet to actually count as an award show in my book. And like they have one, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some wardrobe controversies. I think it's SAG. I believe.
So who are we picking? Who do we think?
I think Conclave.
Conclave. All right. And hopefully
I don't think Conclave is going to get over the top. I mean, it is a classic. It's a classic Oscar. I don't know though. You know what? Maybe it will, because it definitely has those vibes of like, it is important. It is about the Vatican.
very,
No, it has these.
it's a very
but
pious and solemn pick.
But it's also very soapy. It's a very much like, oh,
I kind of want to see it just because I do like the whole intrigue at court, and it's a different.
but it's not a man for all seasons. This is not serious. This is very much a soap opera. It is only with robes and the Vatican. You know, it's a very
And
goofy
anybody
to me.
did anybody see The Brutalist? Because
Yeah, I saw The Brutalist in IMAX.
oh,
And
did it remind you of I Am Pei? Did it make you think of the architecture of the alma mater?
a little bit. There's a
Yeah.
lot of concrete going on, and
Yeah.
you know, important to our aesthetic. I feel
Yeah.
like there
I need palm trees and dance parties.
yeah, in as much as there is, I want to say, a twist and an architectural.
Oh, is this a spoiler alert? Yeah.
This is, you know, we're almost at the. If you haven't seen The Brutalist yet, I
Yeah,
don't. You know,
That's
it's a
true. Spoilers no
concept.
longer apply.
A Hungarian Jew who is immigrating to America.
Adrian Brody, who was also nominated, he might win Best
He's
Actor,
nominated
right?
for Best Actor. He might very well win a Best Actor.
Because that'd be something they would do.
It's very much an immigrant story, and obviously it's a post-World War II immigrant story of a Jewish Hungarian architect. When I tell you there's a little architecture twist at the end,
Nice.
it didn't surprise me, but a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's so deep and
Mm.
meaningful, and wow, you know,
Yeah.
it really blew me away." I thought that it was very long. It was trying to do Godfather-y things.
Yeah.
But the best scenes were definitely the ones between Guy Pearce and Adrian Brody. They were incredible, and Adrian Brody plays the classic mid-century American industrialist John, you know, Evil Q president or whatever, Mr. Industry.
Right.
Oh, industry. And he's wild. He really injects the whole thing with a bunch of energy that's really, I mean,
He won for The Pianist. Is that right? Was
Yeah.
that him?
yes, Adrian Brody at the time was the youngest person to win Best Actor for The Pianist. He was 29 at the time. If Timothy Chalamet wins Best Actor
Oh,
for his portrayal of Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown, he will unseat Adrian Brody
wow.
as the youngest Best Actor winner.
That's the kind of intrigue we come to the annual
So there
Court
you go.
podcast
You
Oscar
can,
show for.
if you like a horse race,
Yeah.
And he
I
did
still
a
think-
speech there at the SAG Awards.
I still think
he did get the nod at the
because,
SAG.
well, actually, Conan won't be saying it, but I feel like if Conan were reading the Best Actor role, I would have chose Ralph Fiennes because I feel like Conan would say Ralph Fiennes, and I still feel like he's messing with us. Has anyone seen Sing Sing? Someone was telling me it was pretty good.
It's wonderful. It's
Yeah?
beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was so little seen that it had a very weird rollout where it came out in like August and it was in theaters for a hot sec. And then they pulled it back. You know, it was like it went to all the festivals over, you know,
Yeah.
a year ago. And then they had a
Maybe
theatrical
is it our
release.
hidden gem? Maybe it's our hidden gem.
I mean, it's a beautiful movie. It's wonderful. And I can't believe that the supporting actor category makes me very sad because Colman Domingo's counterpart, oh God, what's his name?
I forget, but I'm looking at the actor in a supporting role, and I didn't realize as a Succession fan that
Yeah.
there's pretty good intrigue in that one. You know, Shiv was not nominated for Best Supporting Actor, you know, just
Right.
that's
Number
for
one place in there, though.
Succession fans. Right. Has anyone seen The Apprentice? Because
No.
I'm intrigued by that one.
I
That
want-
one would be great. If that's out on a streamer somewhere.
The Apprentice never came to Tallahassee. I don't know what
Yeah.
that, what,
Do you think it was the governor?
yeah, probably.
Put
You
his
know,
foot
we don't
down.
go in for all that. Yeah. Oh, it's Clarence. I'm sorry. In Sing Sing, Colman Domingo is nominated. I'm so glad he's nominated for Best Actor
Yeah.
because he gives a wonderful performance. But I have to tell you, Clarence Macklin,
Clarence-
remember that name?
Could have been the
Who's
supporting
playing-
actor, is what you're saying?
He should have been, and he's
Mm.
not.
Got it.
And I feel like he was so wonderful in Sing Sing. And he is actually one of the people who was a prisoner in that program. He's not a professional actor, and he
Up in
read the
Arsenic.
role. Yeah, it's one of those like incredible real life stories
Huh.
where you're just like, also Colman Domingo, I have to say, let's nominate him for everything from here on out, because not only is he one of the finest actors of his generation, but he is the best dressed man on every red carpet. He how good everywhere he goes. He looks like $1 billion. He's
Right.
unreal. I mean, he's showing up in clothes that you can't even believe it.
Got a nice name too.
Colman Domingo, he's so good. He's so good.
All right. So while we're on leading role, any other comments? So maybe smart money on Adrian Brody. We like Colman Domingo as.
But I mean, Chalamet could pull it out.
Don't you snooze on Timothee? How do you? I didn't realize
Timothy, you can just
felt fancy though.
all the girls who like him,
Sante Goo on the first E there.
the girls who like him just call him Timmy, you know.
Timmy.
Timmy.
I don't know though. For me though, I feel like there's gonna be backlash against his fragrance ads. I think I've seen him on too many like random
I know.
commercials.
I mean,
You know?
Was also in
Also-
two Best Picture nominees, right?
Oh, for real.
he is. And that's the thing is he's in Dune. And don't discount, I mean, his performance in Dune is also quite
Yeah.
swell. And you can't sleep on the fact that, you know, Timothy Chalamet is playing Bob Dylan. People love to see
True
actor
biopic.
embody another
Mhm.
person.
Can
They
really-
know who that is, and they know they're like, wow, he really does seem a lot like Bob Dylan in that movie.
People love to get myopic about a good biopic. That's what I like
mean,
to say.
They do.
Yeah.
I'm into for the pronunciation biopic. If you're saying biopic, I don't know who you are or from what
Exactly.
evil place you know, but like,
And while we're just cherry picking, hopefully folks can get in with their random comments. Demi Moore, I like seeing her on here. I will say, as a low information Academy Award fan, I kind of enjoy the spectacle of it.
I'd be very surprised if she got
Yeah.
like, a lot of stuff because it's very much in it. In a
Because
genre, right?
I hear
In a genre,
Cynthia
but
Erivo's
I thought it
probably
was
gonna
great,
win
so.
Best Actress, right?
I don't think so.
No? Interesting.
Yeah, but
I think it's between Mikey Madison and Demi Moore here.
Yeah.
Really
I
interesting.
do.
Nice. This
For
is-
whatever reason, I mean, Demi has the name recognition. She has
Yeah.
a track record. She's never, I mean, it's like,
I feel
she's-
like they toss her a bone on Best Supporting Actress, but to go whole hog here,
I don't know. She's won Best Actress at some of the other, I mean,
Right.
like
maybe
some
she's
of them
great
are
too.
less
Like,
than
again, I'm all
Golden
information.
Globes type stuff, but I
Yeah.
think when you've got somebody who's got that much coal, and
Yeah.
people know who that, and she's making a comeback, and there's no one else of her generation who's,
Yeah.
you know, like there's no Nicole Kidman in there.
Right.
There's no, you know, Reese Witherspoon or whatever. There's nobody who you're like, oh, well, we
Yeah.
like her better. But I do think Mikey Madison was incredible in Anora. And if you have not seen
I
it,
need
you
to see
can
that,
do
yeah.
yourself a favor. Go see
There
Anora.
you go.
See it right now.
And this
Stop
is best-
listening to this. Go watch Anora.
Best
No.
Actress.
I know.
Best Actress. You can finish up, go ahead and watch it
Oh,
and listen to this again because it's a lot better after you've seen it,
Right.
So I think we did a nice sort of random drive-bys of leading actor, leading actress, supporting actor, supporting actress. Best Picture, it's kind of too wide a field. It feels like the Kentucky Derby to me. I don't even know.
I don't know. I think out of the 10,
Yeah.
you can make, I mean, it's very tough because there are 10 nominees for Best Picture, and I feel like you can discount half of them right off the bat. Like
Yeah.
they just have no hope. It's not going to happen.
Okay, on a low information vibe level now, I'm starting to think Anora might win Best Picture. That's like a low information, picking up on the vibe, understanding it. And it's also like, if I were a betting man, which I am sometimes, so maybe I'll figure out, it feels like it'll be long enough odds that if you say Anora and it wins, you look really good, right? So you got to make some move.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, I'm used to picking for
Yeah.
March Madness tournament. It feels like the Gonzaga of this Best Picture.
You follow
Yeah.
the betting sites, right? What do they say? Did you?
I haven't gone yet. I came in as, I'm trying to rep for the comment. I'm trying to be the Jimmy Stewart of the New College Palm Court Podcast Awards here. What about you, Harrison? Like, the industry. What's your feel? What are your surprises? What do you think people are misreading? What are you paying attention to, if at all, this year?
So like, my part of the industry is definitely more on the independent side, and I
Mm.
like don't follow too much.
How about
Like,
documentary film?
I'm not big on like the Oscar like
Yeah.
race stuff, and I totally should be, but I will say among documentaries though,
Yeah.
normally that's my bread and butter. And in fact,
Right.
the one film that I really wanted to see this year, but only played like in inopportune times for me, was Ramel Ross's Nickel Boys.
Okay.
He's famous for being a documentary filmmaker, and also a professional basketball player too, for Hell County This Morning This Evening, which won Best Documentary a couple of years ago.
Mm.
So he's a documentary filmmaker and sort of brings that sort of lens to his fiction
Yeah,
work.
right about that.
A
Yeah,
lot of
it's-
new college people get into documentary film too.
Ramel Ross, if you have not seen Nickel Boys, please go see that as well. It had not screened in Tallahassee until just recently in regular theaters, but I happened to catch a screening of it where Ramel Ross was there. It was a joint effort between the FAMU School of Journalism, brought Ramel Ross to tour. And so it was that's FAMU's the historically Black college where
Yeah,
we have
Florida Atlantic.
It's Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the A&M.
Again, I'm
First
trying to
place.
represent for the
It's
uninformed.
FAMU. They've
Yeah.
got the Marching 100, which
Yep.
trust me,
Yeah.
is the best marching band in the world, not just the United
Are they
States.
the
Thank you so
Rattlers?
much.
They are the
They are
Rattlers,
the
yes.
Rattlers.
Okay.
And the Marching 100, and they are the greatest. And they're the ones who marched with Prince in the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah.
At the halftime show, maybe you've heard of it.
Right.
In the rain.
people were getting at me because I still think that's the apotheosis of the halftime show was what Prince did. I can say that without being
Kendrick
anti.
has surpassed him.
Kendrick
And so,
Lee.
in as much as, Nickel Boys became, a cause celeb for Ramel Ross, and also because the Boys Reform School, the novel, so it's a novel by Colson Whitehead, right?
Right.
Then now it's been adapted for the screen by Ramel Ross, and it's incredible. He makes a very bold choice where I'm sure you've heard, if you follow movies at all, he shoots from the point of view of the characters, and he had some really interesting things to say in his talk after the screening,
Nice.
talking basically about, hey, if you went to New College and you studied any literature or art with Chris Hasselt or Andrew
Wow.
Eno, and you learned about the male gaze, then maybe you also know something about, the male gaze includes, a lot of not just female characters, but minority characters of all kinds are basically, it's very difficult in film to show a person not being looked at.
Right.
And so,
And I'm sorry, just so I catch up, this is after Nickel Boys screening. The director, is that
the
what-
director was there we had a screening of Nickel Boys.
the director is a New College alum?
No,
Okay, because we went to Chris Hasselt.
I was just saying, like, if you took any classes
that
at
was
New
for us,
College that
right.
were about, skits and art
Understood.
and
Yes.
literature, that you're perhaps familiar with the concept.
Sure.
And so Ramel Ross makes a very interesting choice in Nickel Boys where he shoots from the camera is the point of view of his main characters
Got it.
at his talk after the screening, which was at downtown at the actual IMAX theater at the Challenger Learning Center in Tallahassee, Florida, that Ramel Ross was making a very distinct choice because he was like, how often do you get to see the world from the perspective of a Black character? Never. Even if it's about, even if there's a film about Black characters, you're looking at the character.
Yeah.
That's you looking at them. And he was like, I want you to see
Yeah.
the world from their point of view. And it was it was just such a wonderful,
Interesting. Yeah.
incredible. And, he's gotten slammed for that choice because, yes, as Harrison pointed out, he's a documentary filmmaker, but he's,
It's
he's
true.
got a very special.
Yeah. That's
I
interesting.
mean,
Were they wearing like GoPros while he was
Well,
filming?
it's a very interesting thing where it's shot on a camera, but the film starts with like when the characters are children, and it takes place in this part of the state, like so in
Oh,
the
cool.
Tallahassee,
Not
Marietta.
nominated though, Kim. Unfortunately, I was checking it out. I was checking it out on the documentary. I don't really have a read on the nominees, right? Anyone have a read on any of the documentary? What's going to win that?
Oh yeah, it's Best Picture is what it's up for.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
Nicole was
oh, so
the
it's not a
best
documentary.
like
Maker,
Ramon
but
Rose has only ever he made the winning documentary picture. What year was that, Harrison? I don't remember. But Ramon Ross, this is his first feature
Oh,
narrative.
wow.
So he's only ever
That's
made
impressive.
documentaries before.
Wow.
So it's kind of like this majestic. It's unbelievable
Interesting.
as an
But it's not going to win,
Or-
right? Like if we were, yeah.
but if there were justice in the world,
Yeah.
and if
And
more
we're
people
trying to bring a little justice through this podcast. So that
this
was the whole.
movie, that's why I wanted to talk about it. Just
I
because
appreciate
like,
it.
everyone should see it. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's really different. And a lot of people are kind of complaining about Nickel Boys because they kind of can't get into it. They're like, this is so weird. This is so artsy. And I'm like, open your minds, people.
Yeah.
Especially
go.
if you went to New College or if you love a person who went to New College.
Yeah.
Here's your big chance.
That's good. Well, we should do more recommendations. I do have like
Have your mind blown.
for animated feature film in terms of these nominees. I've been recommending Flow, which I'm a parent of a
I've
6-year-old.
heard that's great. Yeah.
But Flow is fantastic. It's film based on the perspective of a cat during a flood in like the Indian Ocean, I think. And then they wind up on a boat with capybara and there's lemurs, but it's beautifully shot and there's no words. So it is kind of great escapism. And there's a lot of stuff to escape from nowadays. So I would recommend Flow. Also, our 6-year-old was able to get through it. And I think it's on Max right now if folks are streaming like HBO. And then Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul was just great. It's a good one to pair with Wild Robot because Wild Robot is a little more dystopic and sci-fi. And then Wallace and Gromit is like retro techno futurism because the whole premise is like these garden gnomes start cloning themselves and it's sort of like an allegory around AI. So like it is Memoir of a Snail is the only one I didn't see. Inside Out 2 might win though, right? Because Inside Out 2, everybody loved it. It kind of took over this.
I've seen that about one of the actresses on it in Inside Out too.
Yeah. Memoir of a Snail, I do want to
Maybe.
see, but that's very adult, right? Because I wanted to see all of them with my 6-year-old, and I felt like that
Right.
one might be a little too much.
Inside Out 2 has Maya Hawke. Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter is Maya Hawke, and I think she plays Anxiety, who's a new emotion.
Ennui was pretty funny. I thought Inside Out 2, it's a nice, like, big box office animated film comeback kind of thing. So I'd say it's probably either that or Flow. But Memoir of a Snail, I was kind of curious because it almost felt, and like as a parent, you're always wondering like what's appropriate for my kid to see. Like it almost felt like a folk tale. And in that sense, you kind of don't mind as much, but we also kind of shelter young kids from.
I feel like, we all saw Smokey and the Bandit and Grease in the theater, E.T. and whatever. I don't think there's nothing that a kid can't see. It's,
Right.
Like
Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah,
Whatever,
absolutely.
they zip around in cars. It's amazing.
Sally Field, Norma Ray's one thing, but I'll take a little Smokey and the Bandit if you really had to, because and again, I'm on the record this episode, I love Stripes, Harold
You like Sally Field as Fraud.
Ramis is still gone. He will forever be gone too soon. But anyway, we're,
Probably say something about David Lynch, and we just lost
right.
I was thinking
True.
Isabella Rossellini might get a little David
Oh,
Lynch.
and what about the In Memoriam? I'm going to stop sharing here because I think we probably covered
Sympathy.
enough. But In Memoriam, David Lynch, who's last, right? Isn't that something like who do they show? Like, what's the order in which folks are shown?
believe
It feels like it's almost like, and Ann B. Davis as Alice. Like you kind of there's these like positions in a list that are kind of revealed. It's almost like the best supporting actor or actress is listed last, but the one that she really won our hearts, Who's going to win on that level this year? Whose Oscars is it going to be? Any thoughts on that?
Who's going to make the biggest impression?
Yeah, like who are
Demi
people going to be
Moore.
talking about afterwards?
I'm
Demi
leaning
Moore.
to-
Demi Moore?
Yeah.
Or Chalamet, maybe, because he gave a pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if they got together and did something together, that'd be a thing.
So Wicked isn't going to win much. What about songs? Are there any songs?
They're not this year. They're not performing the songs on stage during the broadcast, so that's going to be new because there aren't.
No,
that
that's
many
crippling
songs
Wicked.
this year.
Ah, so that's so Wild Robot can like do some CGI flexes, probably, right? Yeah.
But there's a Broadway like
Yeah, but they're not.
a biopic on Dylan. Like, how can there
They're
not
not
be
original for the picture.
They're not original
Mm.
for the picture.
They have
You're
to be original for the picture.
right.
So you're not gonna. You can't just
Yeah.
because everybody loves it from Broadway. Like, I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
think
everybody
it's
knows
not-
Define Gravity.
Of course you, or yeah, but you're not. You can't do that.
I'm more into songs than scores. Scores are a little too artsy fartsy for me. Let's talk
no,
songs.
see, now, let's see who's up for best original score.
Oh, you want to go back to score? Okay.
The snub this year, though, didn't Atticus
Oh yeah.
and Trent Reznor, and
Trent,
they
Trent,
didn't
yeah.
get, and they didn't get nominated. It was Wild
Hmm.
score.
Yeah.
The score for the movie Queer was interesting. Is that the
Yeah, Queer. That's the one. That's the one I think.
Didn't get
yes.
nominated.
I just got a message from a friend of
I
mine
did
this morning.
see
He's listening to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we were more prepared, we could play a few bars. Maybe
Oh.
hum some bars.
For whatever reason,
pretty
Wicked
ambient.
is nominated for score, which I don't understand.
Yes.
Because it's just riffing.
There's interstitial.
I feel
Yeah,
like they got to throw
exactly.
Wicked a bone or two.
I don't know.
You know, like you can't freeze out Wicked because then that becomes a
I
story.
feel like the Bertalist score is actually the best of the scores on the actual score list. But
All right. For those of you scoring at home,
did we really resolve the best picture situation?
no, we haven't resolved anything, Kim. We're
Okay.
just eating sound.
We're just moving around.
We're just kicking it. But anything on original song that we can close with picture. So any thoughts on the songs? Never Too Late, Elton John. Is that too on the nose? I don't know.
Wait, what's that from?
I don't know.
Is it one of the animated ones?
I'm not sure. They don't list. That's interesting. They don't list the movie. They don't paren the movie.
It says from the 688, which I don't know what that is.
Huh.
Diane Warren wrote that song. So this might be the year that Diane Warren, who's written so many pop songs for movies, might finally win.
Mm.
I mean, she's like one of those perennial. She gets nominated every year because every year she writes whatever the big song is from the montage from
Yeah.
Top Gun and the big,
Right.
the blood
Yeah.
song from the credits from the Green Book or whatever. She like writes all these songs, and the poor thing has never actually won an Oscar, and it's kind of getting to be ridiculous. Where it's not even a Glenn Close situation where we're like, wow, it's literally like Diane Warren has had more hits on Casey Kasem's top 40 than you can ever think about. Like you can't even name them all. It's ridiculous.
Right.
And
Right.
like she's never won. So I think the other ones maybe are just weak enough.
Okay. And then we got some screenplays out there. What about A Real Pain? Anybody see that? I was curious about that. That's like the buddy film with Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin.
Yeah.
Seems like a good era. Like I want to be
Mhm.
on a flight where I could watch that
Yeah.
because that would be just knock out some hours there.
Yeah, I feel like my favorite, if a buddy picture that has Jewish themes and is sort of was Between the Temples with Jason Schwartzman and Carol Kane. And I can't believe that movie didn't get nominated
That's
for
a double entendre,
anything.
Kim. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Real Pain is Kim. That's where
Yeah.
my brain is. Yeah.
It was a really fun and really sweet movie. It had a lot of Harold and Maude.
I feel like there need to be more buddy films. I don't see why they don't make more of them. Like it just because for me, it all goes back to Midnight Run, right? That was what it's called. What was the one with
Yeah.
Chuck Grodin and De Niro? Midnight Run, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was classic. Like it was also like just the odd pairing. We need more odd pairings.
I clicked right over to Midnight Cowboy. Sorry.
Midnight
Yes, I know.
Yes.
That's the die. That's the
Right.
die.
Right. Which
Oh,
was.
Louise.
Buddy
Yeah.
film.
All right. So final thoughts, folks. Let's do a quick round the horn.
I'm looking
First
for
off-
Demi Moore, Timothy Chalamet finger guns. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm happy we did it again. Suzanne, sorry we missed you. Tom
Eugene also.
Ronca, sorry we missed you. Eugene Lowe. There are a lot of just in the neighborhood of the podcast. We are talking also Steve Rosenbluth. We want to get you in and get your perspective. New college diaspora. Folks, let us know what you think in the film space. We'll try to do more like this in the future. But parting thoughts, we can do around the horn, free flow style.
That
Yeah.
I would like to make. I'm trying to collect a list of all the films that were during, all of the throughout the history of New College shown at the school, and I'm
Great.
collecting that. Eugene gave me his list.
I saw some amazing things in the TA, things that expanded my horizons, expanded my
Yeah.
my cult
Eugene was
classes.
play a little. He was going to play a little clip of Thundercrack. for us
Yes.
So there you go.
George Kuchar.
George Kuchar.
He was the one who brought George Kuchar to the school.
Right. He was there, right? He was at
there, and he shot
for
a
a screening.
He was telling me that he shot a very small film while at the school.
So there was he screened Thundercrack, was at the screening, and was also filming something at the time.
He did a little.
Wow.
I think that Eugene had taken a film class with him in San Francisco.
Oh
or
wow.
California. So that's.
So we got to follow. Eugene owes us a follow up. There's more to that.
But if
Yeah.
anyone else has information or memories or anything that they can pass, lists of films, pass it along. Because when we were talking to some of the 1969 folks, I went back and saw the list of films that they were watching back then.
Right.
And
Because I remember Faster Pussycat Kill Kill.
I remember Faster Pussycat,
Mhm.
also 5,000 Fingers of Dr.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Were there. I believe Eating Raoul came up.
Yes.
Some John Waters, and I can't remember
Yeah.
which because I think there's
Polyester.
more than one.
There's
I
more
think
than one, but polyester with the smell-o-vision was definitely one of them.
Polyester with smell-o-vision.
I missed that. What was wrong
And
with
so-
you?
Flamingos. I'm pretty sure we saw Pink Flamingos.
I think we may have seen Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Yes.
with
I do remember that.
It's My Party
Yeah.
and Freaking Me Out. The Z-Man,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it was like kitschy. It intentionally
Yeah.
like camp, and even like
Hey, I started an all-girl band, based, it was like, because we were just like the Carrie.
Tell us the
Nation.
band's name, Kim.
The band in Beyond the Valley of the Dolls is the Carrie Nations. Our band was Marla Perez, Sue Stone, and Emily Heath, and we were Oedipussy.
yes.
Thank you.
And
Oh
we
my
had
god.
the distinct pleasure of having Fluff's Greek tragedy class, and he,
Right.
Professor Emeritus Lyndon Clough, with his famous British accent, was like, "Did you know there is a musical outfit on the campus that is apparently playing with a name based on a classic literature and Oedipussy?" And I thought at that point, I realized I'm a marketing genius.
Oh
because
my
it was
God.
Not until I heard it pronounced with a British accent that I realized the incredible double entendre of our band name.
Wow.
Triple.
That's
That's
Remarkable. Remarkable. We basically stuck around for over an hour to land there. So thank you for landing the plane, kid.
Yeah,
We
but
was all
we had a great time in the TA watching movies, and I know
yeah.
if we could have a whole show just about that where
Yes.
and I would be totally up for that.
Yeah.
In terms of the Academy Awards, I think this year is a weird year. What do you think? What's your best picture thought? What are you thinking, Mike?
I came around to Anora, just vibe wise. I don't know. I'm just reading the tea leaves. I feel like the collective intelligence is telling me Anora. Also because Wild Robot wasn't nominated for Best Picture. So now I think I'm revising my Best Animated Film because actually I thought The Wild Robot was quite good and it could have been nominated for. Flow is more like animated. I feel like the narrative, and then also as a parent, talk about not a dry eye in the house. Like a lot of The Wild Robot is about parenting, surprisingly.
Harrison.
I have to say, I mean, all of the buzz around Amelia Perez makes me think, that, name recognition and all that alone. But if I had to go with not a wild guess, maybe a slightly informed one, I would say The Brutalist. It kind of just has the spectacle and
Yeah.
and
Big
the
picture.
bona fides attached to it that just make me think that it has a little bit more attraction than
Little
something
gravitas,
a little bit
maybe.
more. Yeah, and then especially compared to something like Conclave, which is pretty predictably middle brow, the type of thing I think that would have been really popular amongst Oscar voters 10, 15, 20 years ago. But
Mm.
we're, kind of in a new era, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's not your father's Oldsmobile.
exactly.
Critis is nominated as international film also, so they could just opt and give it that if they feel give it something.
That's weird.
Yeah. So Graham, Megan, any final thoughts? Best Picture?
I'm leaning Anora myself, although I saw The Substance and thought it was an outstanding film. I think it's too genre-ish, but it's also got Demi Moore being naked and not pretty, which is something that I think she gets extra points for.
Interesting.
Hmm.
All right. There's a lot of, it's Demi Moore, Demi. They're both acceptable, Alex. All right. Megan, how about you?
I think it's going to be Conclave because I think it was going to be Emilia Perez, and I think that everybody had to divert their vote, and maybe they're going to go towards something very safe and stayed like Harrison was saying. That's just my thing. I'm just going to put in a little plug for a film that I saw this year that was so bizarre, The Swimmer from the 1960s with Burt Lancaster.
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that movie.
It has so much to do with the little man children who were in charge of New College and toxic masculinity, and I just recommend the film. Very interesting film.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe I like Kim's idea though. Maybe we just get together on a semi-regular Zoom and just talk about film and maybe do some recollections. But does seem like a varietal of the Palm Court podcast that people might enjoy.
I wish Nickel Boys would win, but it won't. I'm with Harrison on this. I think that The Brutalist has a lot of great man energy, although just because Timothy Chalamet snuck in as the best actor at the SAG Awards, I wonder if a complete unknown might not just be lurking in the background. I also thought that there were incredible performances in Doom Part 2, and it was just such a complete and overwhelming. Also, talk about your best scores. You go, Hans Zimmer.
Yeah.
Killing it over there.
Oh, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I guess maybe they're holding out for Doom Part 3, which people are not going to like.
I hear it's the Return of the Jedi of Dune.
Yeah, it's going to freak you. I mean, he turns into a worm guy. I don't know.
Oh,
You know, he
Yeah.
gets to be part sandworm, and that's going to blow people's minds.
Interesting.
But maybe better by then, and we'll
I
be
still
able
haven't
to-
gotten over Johnny Depp as Hunter S. Thompson with a tail. Like
Okay.
it's been 20 years.
Yeah, but maybe I think it's between I mean, I loved Anora, and I think if that film wins, I will be super happy. And if The Brutalist wins, I'll be super happy. And if Wicked wins, I will be like not surprised, and somehow I'll be like, "Yep, that's what the world is right now."
You see, that's how things go.
That's how
just-
it is.
You know, the beatings will continue until the morale improves. Wicked has won the Oscar. Congratulations. Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining. This was a lot of fun. We should do more like this. So this is the Palm Court Podcast. Thanks again to Kim McShane, Harrison Bender, Megan Citron, and Grant Balfour. As always, for the folks who we wanted to have you on, hopefully we convoked you in an appropriate way. And if you want to be on the Palm Court Podcast or have ideas for shows, let us know. We'll be back again soon. Thanks for listening.